I feel like I've been slapped by polygamy. It's hard not to be bitter about the fact that I bought off on it and did it, because in the end, in the last moments of it, it felt terrible. I don't want to pursue another woman.
Ever wonder what really happens behind the scenes when a famous family's messy drama goes legal? What if I told you one of the sister wives just flipped the script and won a custody battle that's shaking their entire world? Christine Brown didn't just walk away. She fought back and scored a court victory that's crushing Kody Brown's control and changing everything we thought we knew. Stick around, because we're diving deep into the explosive details, the fallout, and what this means for their family's future. You won't want to miss a second of this. Back in November 2021, after nearly 30 years of shared life, Christine Brown shocked viewers and followers when she announced her departure from Kody Brown, her spiritual husband and the central figure in the controversial Sister Wives family saga. For many, the news was seismic, yet for those paying close attention, cracks had long been visible beneath the surface. Christine was not just any wife. She was Kody's third spouse in their plural marriage, an arrangement rooted not in legal contracts, but in faith and family tradition. Over the years, she had been the heart of the Brown household, admired for her sunny disposition and unwavering dedication to her children. Still, the harmony was deceptive. The cameras captured the slow unraveling of a relationship once thought unshakable. As the series progressed, viewers witnessed Christine growing more outspoken about her feelings of neglect and invisibility within the marriage. Her frustrations over Kody's emotional distance and lack of support, especially around parenting decisions, became harder to ignore. On the other side, Kody himself admitted on screen that his feelings had faded, questioning whether love had ever truly been there. One heartbreaking revelation came when Christine shared that Kody told her he no longer desired an intimate connection. For her, that was the moment everything changed. She later revealed that staying in a marriage where she felt unwanted was no longer an option. But leaving wasn't simply about heartbreak. It was about reclaiming her life and prioritizing her youngest child's future. Christine's bold decision to leave Flagstaff, Arizona, where the family had settled in 2018, and relocate to Utah was a declaration of independence. Taking Truly, her youngest daughter, who was just 11 at the time, she sought proximity to her older children and a supportive community. In Utah, surrounded by loved ones including her daughter Aspen and husband Mitch, Christine found a new sense of belonging. She had long dreamed of living close to her children and grandchildren, and this move was a step toward making that vision real. Meanwhile, Kody remained behind with his fourth wife, Robin, the only legally recognized spouse after his 2014 divorce from Mary. The preferential treatment Kody showed Robin had long been a source of strain within the family, a sore point Christine and the other wives had openly discussed. As Christine began carving out her fresh start, Kody's world in Arizona appeared increasingly isolated and smaller by comparison. Publicly, Kody issued a statement acknowledging the split with a tone of sadness, but insisted he respected Christine's choice. Christine, in turn, expressed gratitude for their shared years, but made it clear that she was moving on. Fans followed every twist and turn, watching Christine grow more confident and at peace. She openly shared glimpses of her new life, her Utah home, adventures with Truly, and a blossoming sense of happiness. This wasn't just a departure, it was a powerful statement. Christine was the first wife to break away from the sister wives' complex structure on her own terms, challenging the family dynamic from within. Her exit didn't just shake up the Brown family, it disrupted the whole narrative around plural marriage. For years, sister wives had portrayed this lifestyle as complicated yet manageable. Christine's departure revealed the emotional toll and the real costs when one partner's needs go unmet. Settling into Utah, Christine wasted no time laying the groundwork for a fresh chapter. She launched a successful LuLaRoe business, built a strong social media presence, and emerged as a vocal advocate for women's empowerment and healthy boundaries. Celebrating milestones with Truly and reconnecting with her older children, Christine embraced her role as a single mother with determination and grace. While Christine appeared to be flourishing, the Brown family back in Arizona was visibly fractured. The once cohesive plural marriage was now fragile, raising questions about its future. But Christine was steadfast in her decision, not looking back but moving forward from a lifestyle that no longer served her. This was just the beginning of a journey that would lead to bigger battles, including a groundbreaking child support ruling that sent shockwaves through the family and the public. On September 16, 2024, Christine made a bold legal move, shifting the conflict from public conversations and social media posts to the courtroom. Nearly 3 years after ending her relationship with Kody, she filed a formal lawsuit in Utah to settle unresolved issues regarding their daughter, Truly Grace Brown. This legal step marked a serious escalation, one that made clear Christine was no longer willing to leave important matters unsettled behind closed doors. She was demanding legal recognition, protection, and structure for Truly's sake. According to court documents, Christine's petition focused on 3 main demands: the establishment of Kody's legal paternity, full physical and legal custody of Truly, and child support. Alongside these requests, she sought a domestic relations injunction to prevent harassment, financial retaliation, or unilateral decisions about Truly's whereabouts during the proceedings. These weren't just procedural details. They addressed a complicated legal void stemming from their unique situation. Since Christine and Kody never legally married, and Kody's paternity of Truly was never formally recognized by the courts, Christine's lawsuit was crucial to ensure their daughter's rights, and her own as a custodial parent, were protected under Utah law. Perhaps most surprising was that Kody's name was not on Truly's birth certificate. Though he had publicly accepted paternity, the omission was reportedly intentional, a safeguard during a time when polygamy's legal status was uncertain. This decision, while understandable then, created major hurdles that would now require the court's intervention. Without legal paternity, Kody had no official say in Truly's medical care, education, or travel arrangements. He lacked enforceable visitation rights, and Christine had no straightforward way to claim child support. Her lawsuit was the first formal move to establish these rights retroactively and clarify parental responsibilities. Once the court acknowledges Kody as Truly's father, it gains the authority to make binding decisions about custody and financial support, transforming the tangled personal story into a decisive legal battle that will affect everyone involved. Christine's petition wasn't just a routine legal filing. It was a decisive move to formalize what had already been a reality for years. She sought full legal and physical custody of Truly, meaning every major decision, from schooling to healthcare, would fall under her authority. Since Christine moved to Utah, Truly had lived exclusively with her, attending school and building a life far removed from Kody's household in Arizona. This wasn't about disrupting their lives anymore. It was about legally securing the status quo. The petition was clear. Christine wanted the courts to officially recognize that Truly's primary home was with her, and she wanted the stability that only a formal custody order could provide. Alongside custody, Christine requested that Kody be ordered to pay child support. The details on the exact figures were kept confidential, but Utah law is straightforward. Support is calculated based on income and the amount of custody each parent holds. Because Christine was pushing for full custody, Kody, should paternity be confirmed, would be responsible for a significant share of Truly's expenses. This would cover everything from health insurance to education and daily living costs. This financial obligation wasn't just a side note. It was a clear message that the informal arrangements and financial ambiguity of the past were no longer acceptable. Adding another layer to the petition was a domestic relations injunction, a protective legal measure preventing either parent from interfering with Truly's schooling, financial matters, or moving her without consent or court approval. It also prohibited any form of harassment or intimidation, an important safeguard for Christine as the legal battle unfolded. While neither Christine nor Kody made public statements right after the filing, the implications were loud and clear. Christine had reached her limit. She was no longer interested in waiting for cooperation or informal agreements. She demanded enforceable rights and responsibilities, and most importantly, legal recognition that Truly had been living with her as the primary caregiver all along. This lawsuit marked a turning point. What had once been a complicated family matter, tangled in emotion and unspoken agreements, had now evolved into a formal legal confrontation. Christine drew a clear boundary, one that cut straight to the heart of the courtroom. This case would set the stage for everything that followed, from intense custody hearings and financial disputes to public exposure of Kody's involvement, or lack thereof, in Truly's life. But above all, this was a story about justice, a mother's fight for clarity and protection under the law for her child. The first courtroom encounter between Christine and Kody happened on December 1st, 2024. It wasn't a dramatic showdown in a packed courtroom, but a web conference hearing, a procedural step with enormous implications. Though the session wasn't public, court records revealed the case was classified as Track 3, a designation reserved for serious custody disputes fraught with conflict and emotional complexity. In Utah, such a classification signals a case riddled with deep disagreement, often involving accusations of alienation or manipulation. The court anticipated a bumpy road ahead, one requiring careful oversight and patience. This wasn't just a checkbox on a docket. Track 3 cases are handled with a higher level of scrutiny. Judges, mediators, and child psychologists often become involved, and timelines stretch out longer to accommodate the complexity. This legal label quietly told its own story. Beneath the surface of Christine's independence and Kody's distant presence in Arizona, a bitter and unresolved custody battle simmered, far from being settled quietly. Both parents had hired attorneys and were fully prepared to fight for their vision of Truly's future. The judge's role during this first hearing was not to decide who would win custody, but to organize the process ahead. Timelines were set, expectations outlined, and the crucial next step, mediation, was scheduled for May 21st, 2025, almost half a year later. This delay might seem long, but it reflected the court's understanding of how tangled this dispute had become. Mediation in Utah Family Court, especially for Track 3 cases, is more than a formality. It's a mandatory attempt to find common ground and avoid costly, emotionally draining trials. Mediation brings a neutral third party into the conversation, someone trained to help parents compromise and craft a workable parenting plan. But anyone familiar with high-conflict custody cases knows these sessions often end in stalemate. Given the Browns' history, years of mistrust, emotional wounds, and fractured communication, the road to agreement would be anything but smooth. Still, the court favored mediation, hoping it could steer both parents toward a cooperative future, rather than a prolonged legal battle. At this stage, Christine had been raising Truly in Utah full-time for years, while Kody remained in Arizona. If Christine's petition was any indication, she planned to use mediation to solidify the existing arrangement legally. Kody's stance, however, was less clear. His willingness to embrace co-parenting or push back would come into sharp focus during the upcoming mediation. No dramatic revelations came from that December hearing, but it marked a major turning point. The private decisions made since Christine's departure were now firmly under legal supervision. The irony was not lost on many observers. Kody, once the family's unquestioned patriarch, was now facing a legal system that demanded equality and accountability. Christine had successfully leveled the playing field, and the court was watching every step. More importantly, Truly was no longer just a backdrop in a family drama. She was the central figure, protected by court orders and custody classifications. The stakes couldn't be higher. Every move from this moment forward would impact her stability and well-being. As 2025 unfolded, both Christine and Kody were racing against time. They had until May to gather evidence, prepare their arguments, and attempt a settlement, or set the stage for a full trial that could expose even more painful truths about their fractured relationship. What began as hurt feelings and emotional distance had morphed into a battle over legal rights and custody arrangements. Whether this chapter ended in compromise or confrontation, it was clear the fight was far from over. It was entering its most intense phase. When the dust settled in May 2025, Christine emerged victorious. The court granted her full custody of Truly Grace Brown, along with a court-ordered child support arrangement that underscored Kody's legal and financial responsibilities. For Christine, it was the culmination of a years-long struggle, a validation of her role as Truly's primary caregiver. For Kody, it was a hard setback, both in reputation and pocketbook. This ruling officially recognized Christine's control over every major decision in Truly's life, something she had been doing unofficially for years since moving to Utah. The child support order was the real game-changer. After more than a decade of informal co-parenting with no legal financial support, Kody was now legally bound to contribute. While the exact amount remains confidential, the court's calculations follow strict guidelines based on income and custody percentages, ensuring Truly's needs are met. This wasn't just a legal victory for Christine. It was a clear message that responsibility and accountability matter, especially when it comes to the well-being of a child caught in the crossfire of a fractured family. Christine Brown's victory in court marked a turning point not just in her life, but for the entire Brown family saga. Securing full custody of Truly and forcing Kody to face his financial responsibilities was a moment years in the making. For those watching from the outside, the ruling confirmed what many had long suspected. Christine had been the primary parent, the steadfast pillar who carried the burden alone. The court's decision didn't just grant her legal recognition. It validated the sacrifices she made while navigating motherhood without the security of formal support or acknowledgement. Sources close to Christine describe a wave of relief and emotion when the ruling was finalized. After all, she had bravely rebuilt her life in Utah, shouldering the costs and the tough decisions without legal protection, until now. Her powerful words, "It's time to pay up for everything I've been through," echoed a deep frustration that had simmered for years. For Kody, the judgment hit hard. Attempts to negotiate more casual visitation in place of financial support were seen as transparent maneuvers by the court, which ultimately sided with Christine's demand for accountability. Behind closed doors, Kody's anger was palpable, a stark contrast to his earlier portrayal on Sister Wives as an involved and caring father. Christine didn't mince words publicly, branding him a deadbeat dad, words that carried the weight of years of emotional and financial absence in Truly's life. Fans of the show noticed the growing distance too, as Truly rarely appeared in family scenes filmed back in Arizona, instead often seen only with Christine on social media. Now, with the court backing Christine, the truth was undeniable. Kody was no longer an active co-parent. This ruling represented more than custody and payments. It symbolized a seismic shift in power within the Brown family. For years, Kody's influence had dominated, shaping the family structure and decisions, often dismissing dissent. But Christine's legal win flipped that dynamic. She no longer needed his permission or approval. She had taken control through the legal system, standing her ground, and winning. This was a long overdue change, marking her as the first Brown wife to legally challenge Kody and hold him accountable beyond the cameras. Her courage might inspire others in similarly informal family setups to seek legal protections and recognition. Yet, while the court battle closed a chapter, it also exposed deep fractures in the Brown family. Kody's loss of control was more than a personal blow. It highlighted the unraveling of what once was a tightly knit, plural marriage. Reports suggest that his relationships with children from other marriages, especially with Mary and Janelle, have become strained, with some adult children publicly expressing feelings of neglect and distancing themselves. The family's once solid foundation now shows visible cracks. Meanwhile, Christine's life has taken a dramatically different path. In 2023, she married David Woolley, a construction executive in Utah, and the couple's relationship has been openly shared as supportive and stable. For Christine, this remarriage symbolizes a fresh start, a nurturing environment for Truly and her other children, emphasizing emotional wellness and family unity. This new chapter contrasts sharply with the tension and legal battles left behind. Kody, on the other hand, made headlines with a $2.1 million mansion purchase in Flagstaff, Arizona. an extravagant move that many viewed as tone-deaf considering his recent legal obligation to pay child support. Critics questioned his priorities, wondering how a man fighting to avoid support payments could suddenly afford such luxury. The optics fueled public debate about financial responsibility and accountability within high-profile families. It's a reminder that wealth doesn't always translate to fairness, especially in personal relationships. Reflecting on their journeys, it's striking how far both Christine and Kody have traveled from the early sister wives days. Christine moved from being the first to leave the plural marriage to asserting herself legally and emotionally, reclaiming her power, and creating a secure space for her daughter. Kody's path, however, is shadowed by fractured relationships and public scrutiny, his once dominant role diminished by legal realities and family estrangement. The ripple effects of this custody battle extend beyond the courtroom. Sister Wives viewers now witness a new narrative, one where empowerment, accountability, and self-advocacy take center stage. Christine's story is not just about winning a legal fight. It's about setting a precedent, shining a light on the need for formal protections in spiritual or non-traditional marriages. It invites viewers to reconsider the complexities of such relationships and the real impact on children and parents alike. As the Brown family continues to navigate these changes, the future remains uncertain. With multiple wives separated from Kody and Robin, the only remaining legal spouse, the polygamous structure is visibly unraveling. The emotional and financial fallout is still unfolding both privately and on screen. Kody's reputation, finances, and family bonds hang in the balance, while Christine steps forward as a figure of resilience and empowerment, redefining what strength looks like after plural marriage. The Brown family saga is far from over. What unfolds next will surely captivate fans and observers alike, revealing more about loyalty, identity, and the pursuit of justice within the complexities of modern family life. So what do you think lies ahead for Christine, Kody, and the rest of the Browns? Share your thoughts below, because this story is just getting started.